next? It's everyone's favorite video game discussion show. An all-new GameView starts right now.
Hey guys, welcome to GameView for Friday, June 14th, 2019. I'm Scott.
And I'm Roxie.
And we are here to talk about Nintendo's E3 presentation this year. We have a lot of stuff to go over with you guys. Before we get started though, as always, if you enjoy tonight's episode, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to TOONDISE, and don't forget to click that bell icon so you can get notified when we upload new episodes. So, what are we going to go over tonight here, Roxie?
We are going to go over the Nintendo E3 Direct of 2019 that aired on June 11th.
Alright, so, just to keep things organized, I want to do a quick mention of everything that was talked about during the Direct itself, and then we're going to go into more detail on the topics that interest us, because otherwise we could be here for 4 or 5 hours. So, to begin, the Direct started off with some Smash DLC, specifically a Dragon Quest character. Release date, summer 2019. That sort of segued into Dragon Quest XI S. That's coming out September 27th. Then we got a very interesting piece of footage involving Bowser and Doug Bowser, so we're going to talk about that. Luigi's Mansion 3, I'm very excited for this, you are too?
Unbelievably excited.
Awesome. Following that, we had this Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics game by Netflix, very weird. We got more footage from Link's Awakening. Oh, by the way, that Dark Crystal game, no specific release date, just 2019. Link's Awakening coming out September 20th of this year. Trials of Mana coming out early 2020, and the Collection of Mana is available right now on Nintendo eShop. We also got some footage of The Witcher 3, that's 2019 as well. You're going to see a pattern here, folks, a lot of non-specific release dates, unfortunately. More footage from Fire Emblem Three Houses, of course we already know that's coming out at the end of July, the 26th. Resident Evil 5 and 6 coming out in the fall. No More Heroes 3 in 2020. Contra Rogue Corps, that's in September 24th, I believe. Also a Contra Anniversary Collection that is also available right now of some older games. Demon Ex Machina, September 13th, my birthday. But yeah, I'm not getting that game. Panzer Dragoon, Winter, I think it's early 2020. I think that's what winter means, but who knows. We got some more footage from Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, and the Pokemon Company kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit. We'll go over that. Astral Chain, we got a little bit more detail into the story and the actual gameplay itself. That is still coming out August 30th. Empire of Sin is coming out spring 2020. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, that's July 19th, and supposedly an expansion pass that's coming out in the fall. Cadence of Hyrule, I thought this one was going to be shadow dropped, but it's coming out pretty close to the Direct anyway, June 13th, so yeah, it's, I guess, already out by now. Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, that's coming out in November. I thought that was coming out next year, but hey, I mean, it's coming out a little earlier, so that's good. We got, finally, some footage on Animal Crossing, and we got a title, New Horizons. That's been delayed to March 20th, so we'll talk about that a little bit. We also have to talk about Spyro Reignited Trilogy, coming out September 3rd. Hollow Knight Silk Song, no release date, but hey, it's coming soon, so I guess that's good. Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch, September 20th. Minecraft Dungeons, Spring 2020. Elder Scrolls Blades in the fall. My Friend Pedro, that game was the banana, June 20th, so in a couple of days. Doom Eternal, still no release date. The Sinking City in fall of 2019. Wolfenstein Youngblood, July 26th, same day as Fire Emblem. Dead by Daylight, September 24th. Alien Isolation, coming out sometime this year. Next up, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered, again, winter, so early 2020, I guess. Dragon Quest Builders 2, I don't know why they mentioned this, because, I mean, they already talked about this, it's coming out in a few weeks, July 12th. Stranger Things 3, July 4th. Just Dance 2020 is coming out November 5th, and there's some weird stuff about that we have to go over. Catan, June 20th, so next week. New Super Lucky's Tale coming out this fall. Dauntless in late 2019, so I guess this fall. Super Mario Maker 2 was in the Direct. Again, I don't know why, because we had that whole presentation about it coming out at the end of this month. Banjo-Kazooie was revealed as another Smash DLC character. And at the end of the Direct, probably the most exciting thing out of the whole Direct was the Breath of the Wild sequel, which is currently in development and will probably take them 5 years to release. Aside from that, a couple other things that they didn't really showcase footage of, but were mentioned on the website. There's a new ukulele game, The Last Remnant Remastered, Rad, and Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. So that's pretty much everything that was announced and talked about, and now that we've got that out of the way, I'm going to take a break while Roxie starts off with our first in-depth topic of the night.
So to start us off, we will be talking about the Dragon Quest Hero as Smash DLC. They started it off strong. Nintendo didn't do any kind of gimmicks this year with their E3 trailer or E3 Directs like they have been doing in the past couple years. You know, we had the Adult Swim Robot Chicken style before, then we had Muppets. They didn't do any of that. They just went right on in. They showed us this really cool looking scene that seemed like it should have 100% belonged in the World of Light campaign for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And it showed Link getting, like, Breath of the Wild Link, getting attacked by a bunch of spirits, a bunch of dark, possessed, angry spirits. And he was getting overwhelmed, and then all of a sudden, you have the hero from Dragon Quest XI swooping in and helping Link out. And it was really cool. I know it's sort of the sleeper hit on terms of Smash character DLC. Some people couldn't care less. Some people are above and beyond about it. And I'm more of the former. You know, it's cool that they got a Cooley's got a character. I haven't seen much of his kit. Admittedly, I haven't ever since the Direct. I haven't looked up much info on anything that was announced. But you do they're gonna do like a Koopaling style thing where the different alt skins for the hero will have they'll look like the different main characters, which is pretty cool. That is very, very cool. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're just gonna stick with the name The Hero, which is kind of, you know, dumb. You could, if somebody asks you what your main is in Smash, you're not gonna say Hero main. They could have done something better. But he looks interesting. He's another sword user, so if you're tired of sword users in Smash, sorry. Should I go on to the next one, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about it. I did like the opening animation because for a second there I was thinking, you know, are they just reusing footage from, you know, the original King K. Rool scene? But, Yeah, I guess that's good.
That's not till later. That specific bit isn't till later. We'll get to that. Shortly after the Dragon Quest as a Smash DLC, and after they got through talking about Dragon Quest XI's, we were met with the president of Nintendo of Japan, I believe. Was that who that was?
Yep.
He was getting his guests prepared to come on stage.
No, that was Koizumi.
Koizumi? Who's Koizumi?
Yeah, he worked on Super Mario Odyssey.
Oh, he worked on Odyssey. So, wait, then who's our president right now?
Shintaro Furukawa?
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. He worked on Super Mario Odyssey. Cool. Well, he was getting his guests prepared, and we were met with Bowser in a tie on screen with Koizumi. And it was... Bowser was very confused. He thought that he was the guest for the Nintendo Direct, and it turns out, no. Doug Bowser, the president of NOA, was the actual guest. And Bowser walked off, and he was very sad, and it was adorable, and I wanted to give Bowser a hug.
I love that scene. I loved how they just played off of that, because, let's be honest, I mean, up until now, everyone was talking about how Doug had the last name as a Mario character, and I didn't think they were actually going to do anything with it, but, you know, I will admit, I was sad too. Like, you know, he comes out in his suit and tie, and, you know, it's like, oh, well, Bowser's gonna be like this, co-host of sorts, and then he finds out, oh, it's not me, and just shuffles off and leaves.
Poor guy. He got rejected by Peach, and then he gets rejected by Nintendo.
Yeah. What a
poor,
life.
Poor guy can't catch a break.
Yeah. Moving on from that, though, let's get into one of the high points of this Direct, because I was talking about this on last week's episode of GameView, where I did not think Luigi's Mansion was going to be delayed. I am so happy that it's still on track for release, and what did you think of this additional footage there? After
Luigi's Mansion 2, Dark Moon was sort of... It wasn't the best. It was alright, but it wasn't anything, like, phenomenal like Luigi's Mansion 1 was. Them showing off what they did of Luigi's Mansion 3, or should I say Luigi's Hotel 3, because he's at a hotel and not a mansion. I was really excited. I was all for it. I was just above and beyond. They mentioned co-op with Gooigi, and I was excited. Co-op. Then they mentioned pardon my French, they mentioned a multiplayer, like, sort of versus mode with other Luigis, and I thought that was really cool. Oh, and by the way, the other Luigis that were shown off in the Luigi's Mansion 3 multiplayer mode, yeah, those are some of his skins in Smash Bros. Just saying, they're actually using the alternate colors for other things than just Smash Bros. Now. About dang time. And I liked the gameplay. I liked some of the new things that you could do, and how you could, like, just take a ghost, start sucking it up, and then just smash it about. Beat up one ghost with another ghost. I was like, oh man, that's gonna be great. I like Luigi's Mansion 3 so far. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be picking that one up. I'll say that for sure. I love the graphics, and I haven't played the previous two versions of Luigi's Mansion, so I don't know what was there, what wasn't, but at least from what I saw in this trailer, and some of the enemies, right, it's so creative, so original, and it makes me really hopeful that this is going to be a unique story with unique characters, and when I saw Professor Egad from, Superstar
Luigi's
Saga.
Mansion 1.
Yeah. And Superstar Saga there. I'm sold.
There is a returning character that's not Egad or Luigi. It's King Boo. He's been omnipresent in every single Luigi's Mansion game, so you know he's gonna have something to do in 3. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about everything. I'm probably gonna pre-order it when I go into work next time.
The only thing that I was surprised about was, again, like I mentioned earlier, a recurring theme was this direct, no specific release date. Like, I was sure they were gonna come out at the very least, right? And say October, or something like that, and then we just got the generic 2019 placeholder again. I was like, really?
Given that it specifically had a demo on the E3 floor for Nintendo, I'm pretty sure it's going to be coming out in October.
I would hope so.
I mean, it's a Luigi's Mansion game. It's got to come out in October. To have it released in any other month is a disservice.
Yeah. I don't know why they wouldn't just come right out and say it. We know the game's been rated, so it's already completed, and like you said, I mean, you know, they're already demoing it, so just come on out and give an exact date, or even just say it's coming out in October, but anyways.
Moving on, we got more footage of the Link's Awakening remaster coming to Nintendo Switch. We also have a release date. It is September 20th, 2019. You're also going to be noticing another pattern. A lot of games were slated for September. A sizable amount were set for September. Is kind of ridiculous. But Link's Awakening remaster looks adorable. All the gameplay looks cute. Link himself looks cute. There's also going to be a Link's Awakening Link amiibo coming out in the style of the Link's Awakening remaster, so the chibi art and everything. And you can create your own dungeons, which is new and exciting. It's like a little Super Mario Maker, but with Zelda titles.
Yeah, I definitely think that's one of the selling features of the game. I still can't get my head around the graphics, though. I know you're gonna hate me for this, Roxie, but I don't like the graphics in this game. I don't like the chibi art style.
I wasn't thinking I was going to either when I first saw it, and then it started to grow on me. I feel like, given that it's in a top-down perspective, I feel like the A Link Between Worlds art wouldn't have been able to do it proper justice. And I feel like to really capture the essence of the game, the art style that they went with was the best.
I guess. I mean, maybe I need to see some more footage of it, but just right now, for me, I'm gonna pass on it.
I want them to have the Steelbook edition come to North America. Because I know if you pre-order the special edition in Europe, you get, or like in the UK, you get like an art book, something else, and you get this like really cool Game Boy Steelbook case for the game. Like it's styled completely like a Game Boy. And I really hope that comes to North America, because if it does, then I'm going to pre-order that version as soon as it goes up.
Awesome. Alright, so next up, you want to touch on the Mana Collection, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on it real briefly. There's a new like of Mana game coming out called Trials of Mana, available early 2020, so January, February. It looks really nice. For those of you of Mana fans, I've never played the series, but I know you guys are out there. You guys are living and breathing. There's a pulse. And yeah, Trials of Mana looks really nice. And there's a collection of Mana that's available as of now that you can go and get the other titles, right? Just like the 3 before, or is it 2?
I think it's 3.
Okay. You get the other Mana games on your Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, that's available as of right now. So if you guys, want to play some games back in the early 90s just to see what it's all about, you could go ahead, pick that up off the eShop. Next up, we got some more footage from Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Yes, we did. We got some more story information. Apparently, there's going to be a big time skip that happens, and we get to see our little babies, Dimitri, Eldegard, and the other one. I don't know the other one's name. Claude.
I don't even
Claude.
remember any of these guys' names, to be honest.
We get to see Claude. We get to see him all 5 years later. And Dimitri took some damage. I'm gonna be real. I want to know what's up with Dimitri. I feel like from that alone, some of the gameplay might be really interesting. If what we saw in the trailer actually does affect gameplay. And I really want to see what's going on after those 5 years between the 3 houses. But
The story seems interesting. I'm still concerned about this game, though. There's just something that's a little bit off. I don't know if, just like I said last week, I don't know if there's going to be any online functionality at all. I mean, it could just be entirely single player. Again, I hope I'm wrong on that, but...
Why?
It's not saying anything on the eShop listing. It says 1 player, and that's it.
Yeah. Then that means it's going to be single player, Scott.
Yeah, but I was hoping, like, what happened was Fates, right? Where you could still go online and fight other people.
I feel like that was a one-time thing because that wasn't in Shadows of Valentia. And it also wasn't in Awakening. So that was most definitely a one-time thing because of the nature of Fates.
I wish there was some sort of online component, though. Like, even if it was just, teaming up with someone else in like, a co-op mode, but...
Not every game needs online, Scott.
I hope the single player is good, though. I mean...
That's what you should focus on. Let's just hope the single player is going to be very good and that the story is going to be good.
Yeah, look, the game's been delayed twice now. They're getting help from Koei Tecmo, so... I've got my fingers crossed. That's all I can say. I've already pre-ordered it, but we'll see what happens when it comes out.
I, too, have it pre-ordered. I need to pay it off. I'll probably do that Friday.
Okay, so moving on from there, No More Heroes 3, right?
Yes, No More Heroes 3. The next main entry into the No More Heroes franchise with Travis Touchdown. I know some people were kind of iffy with Travis Strikes Back, the last No More Heroes game that came out. Some people weren't the biggest fans of it. They weren't fans of like certain aspects. But I feel like, given that No More Heroes 3 has that, numbered title, main series, it's definitely going to be more akin to the previous No More Heroes games.
And that's coming out in 2020, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got that. And next up on the list, Demon X Machina finally got a release date, so I'm sure you're happy, right?
Any of you who've been keeping up with GameView, anytime we see Demon X Machina get mentioned, I am always really excited for it. So now, it's coming out September 13th, so I can finally look forward to a release date, play it, enjoy it, and enjoy my mech shooting game with my pretty ladies, because you can make a pretty lady. I'm excited.
I bet you've been chomping at the bit for this game, because it feels like it was revealed ages ago, and...
It does! I've been unbelievably excited for this, and I'm not a big fan of mecha games. I've never liked mecha games. But this one, even after playing the demo, I really enjoyed it. It just seems like so much fun. So yeah, I'm excited. Gameplay looks fun. My only concern still is frame issues in big areas. Because let's face it, the Switch is not a powerhouse.
Were there issues with the demo?
Demo, not that I ever saw, but with the trailer that they showed, it looked like some of the mecha battles, whenever it was really, really into it, looked like there might be some frame drops.
Alright, well, here's hoping. Okay, so next up, let's talk about a big topic here, because
Let's discuss the lighter thing first before we get into the thing that has 98% of the Pokemon community in uproar, shall we?
Alright, go ahead.
Okay, so Sword and Shield, the Pokeball Plus controller that you could get when you played Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, does not work as a controller, but it can be used to take a Pokemon with you. You also, if you have the Pokeball Plus, but have yet to send Mew into your copy of Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee, you can send that Mew into Sword and Shield. Now, from what they showed of the gameplay at the Nintendo Treehouse, the game looks great. I'm very, very excited with all the Pokemon that were shown off. I'm very excited. We got a couple of new Pokemon shown off during the demo section that weren't ever shown off in the trailers. We have I think it's like Yamper and Impidimp. One is like an electric type, the other is Dark Fairy. Everything looks really solid. Graphically looks beautiful. And Dynamax looks like it's going to be super fun. And apparently there's going to be the removal of Megas as well as Z crystals, which I am completely happy about. But the elephant in the room that has 98% of the Pokemon community in an uproar is not every Pokemon will be transferable into Sword and Shield through Pokemon Home. The reason being is because we are now hitting over 800 plus Pokemon. That's a lot of models. That's a lot of time spent upscaling, making sure every single model works properly, touching up animations. It would have taken about 6 to 12 more months, according to Nintendo and Game Freak, to get that done. And they wanted to go on and get the game out. Everybody has been like chomping at the bit for the game. And people are upset because you can't get your national decks. You can't transfer every single Pokemon in the world over to your games. Scott, I'm going to let you say why you're very upset. And I'm going to say, after that, I'm going to say why I'm more or less okay with it.
Okay. Alright, so when I first saw Junichi Masuda talking about this during the presentation, I was upset. It didn't get me as angry as, well, watching an episode of Star Trek Discovery, because we gotta separate these levels of anger and, these issues here, but I did find it very odd and disappointing, nonetheless, because the way Masuda explained it, he started off talking about how the Switch was a much more powerful version of hardware than the 3DS. So, using that, and then sort of segueing into, well, because it's more powerful, what we've decided to do now is limit the Pokemon that you can actually transfer into the game. It is disappointing, and it did get me a little bit frustrated, because you've got all these Pokemon that you've taken with you from games as far back as Ruby and Sapphire from 2003, right? And now you still have the Pokemon, like they're still in Pokemon Home, so you haven't lost them or anything. It's just you can't use them until they come out with a game where they include that Pokemon in that game's Pokédex. So there are some Pokemon that, like, I want to say you run into this issue where Pokemon like Pikachu and Charizard and the more well-known and the more favorited Pokemon, they'll almost always be available in every game because they want those Pokemon in those games for recognizability. But when you get into some of the lesser-known Pokemon, they may just decide, well, you know, for example, Diamond and Pearl, right, 4th gen, they could say, well, we don't really want to allow any 4th gen Pokemon in, you know, Sword and Shield because we're coming out with a game in 2 years from now that does focus on Sinnoh and Diamond and Pearl. So now you're sitting with your Infernape, your Torterra, Dialga, you know, any Pokemon in that entire Sinnoh Pokédex, which is basically useless, and you have it in your Pokemon Home collection until who knows when they come out with a game that'll support it. I just think I appreciate Masuda being honest and just coming right out and saying that, because let's be honest, I mean, some developers would probably not even address that until like 2 weeks before the game comes out. So I do appreciate his honesty, but the way he explained it didn't make any sense at all.
So let me, before I get into my reasonings, let me try and see if I can make sense of what he said and how he worded it. The Switch is has more powerful hardware than the 3DS. That's correct. Everybody knows that. I think what he meant by he's limiting the Pokemon because the Switch is more powerful, it's to focus on bigger animations and file size, as well as balancing issues. If you try to make a Pokemon game and you're using every single Pokemon ever created, you're definitely going to have to run into balancing issues. And it's an easier decision to just sort of Thanos snap, you know, half the Pokemon and use the other half that you've got. So I think because of file size, because of animation, because of, you know, Dynamaxing, having to make the Pokemon become bigger, I think that could be part of the reason why. Because a lot of people are thinking, oh, it's just upscaling and then touching up a few animations and you're done. You also have to consider Dynamax evolutions and everything else that goes along with it. Animation for new moves, everything. I think a lot of people are taking that out of the equation because they're more or less biased to their favorite Pokemon that they want to use.
That could be it, but here's the counter argument to that. If, as far as balancing is concerned, like, you're always going to have this issue, especially with a competitive metagame, right? That, you know, based off of stats, some Pokemon are going to be used more often than others. So it's always going to be this tricky thing of trying to figure out, you know, how do you balance it, you know, so most of the Pokemon are not just completely OP. But the other thing, too, is that I think people would probably forgive them more for this if every Pokemon had, let's say, their own custom attack animations, or even like what I was telling you about months ago, where like if you remember in Pokemon Battle Revolution, where you actually saw the Pokemon run up to the opposing Pokemon and physically make contact in order to hit them, right? If that was the case, if we were getting like custom attacks instead of like a paw print appearing on the opposing Pokemon sprite, then I could say, okay, that makes sense. You know, you need to take time creating, you know, each move's graphics to make sure it lines up properly, rather than just, you know, like a generic attack animation. But because we're still getting those things in this game, And the fact that, like, they do have all of the older models, I mean, yeah, you do need to upscale them, but they do have all the older models from, like, Sun and Moon that they could just use as a template to get into this game. That's what I think people are thrown off by.
Well, you also have to take into consideration even without new custom animations, they would still need to touch up the animation when they upscale it. They'd have to make sure every bit of every single frame of animation was as clean and smooth as possible. Animation is not easy work. It's time consuming. I spent like 6 months working on a 15-second animation back when I was in like high school. God knows how long it would take like a professional to do a full like maybe 20-30 hour game. No clue. Like we don't know how many Pokemon we're going to be getting. That's another thing. I will concede they do have the animations and models already. I'll definitely concede that, and admittedly I haven't been watching much gameplay, so I couldn't confirm or deny the use of custom animations for certain moves. I can't, because I haven't been keeping up with the animations, so that could very well be true. I was just sort of giving Masuda the benefit of the doubt on that. But something that we do know is we don't know how many Pokemon we're going to be getting. For all we know, we could be getting 131 new Pokemon, just to pull a number out of my head. And if we get 131 new Pokemon, that would be added on top of the older animation, or on top of like the other like 790 something Pokemon, which would thus increase the file size of the game even more. And admittedly, Nintendo are some compression ninjas. They really are. But even still, that's a lot of that's a lot of like animation modeling, that's a lot of models entirely that would take up a lot of space. And they might not have just been able to do it in the time frame to get the game out. Yes, they could have delayed it, and I'm sure some people say they would have been happy with that. They probably wouldn't have, overall. Game Freak probably, I've seen this thrown out a lot, they probably should have given themselves more time to add in those animations to make sure everything worked properly. But I think a big thing is people are forgetting how much goes into making a game.
That's true. I mean, I guess I am one of those people. I do think it would have been better had they taken a year off. I mean, yeah, people would have complained about having to wait an extra year, but if they included all of those models and just came out with it in 2020, I think they would have avoided a lot of the backlash that ensued here, because, you know,
admittedly, there is a lot of backlash.
Yeah.
There is, like, even the Japanese community is in uproar.
Well, here's the thing, okay? I can understand, like, maybe going forward from, you know, here, like, let's say hypothetically, you know, all the models were in Sword and Shield, you had 900 plus Pokemon in total, and then let's say the game that came out after Sword and Shield, whatever the next core game is after that, then they decided, okay, well, you know, we're gonna limit it to X number of Pokemon. Even that, I think, would have been slightly better, because, I mean, being the first core Pokemon game on the Switch, you want to get people invested into it. You want to make this seem like, you know, it's a big deal. Like, oh, Pokemon in HD for the first time, you know, you've played Let's Go from last year, you can transfer all your Pokemon over, anything you caught in Pokemon Go, you can transfer that over as well. And then, you know, later on down the road, you know, people who, you know, want to use certain Pokemon, well, okay, they can use it in Sword and Shield. If they want to get, like, another core game down the road, that's limiting the models, okay, fine. But to do that with the first core game in the franchise on the Switch, it leaves a bad taste in people's mouths because, you know, if they spend time training a Pokemon, they spend time breeding, doing all of this stuff, just to get, you know, a particular Pokemon that they like, and then they find out, oh, well, now I can't really use it.
Allow me to disagree with pretty much all of that, because just because it's the first core Pokemon game on Switch doesn't mean it has to have every Pokemon game, or every Pokemon included. And I say that because take a look at Black and White. I know I talk about Black and White a lot, but this is out of, like, no bias. This is talking purely from what they did. That game had a whole new Pokedex in it. Brand new Pokemon completely. No Pokemon from Gens 1, 2, 3, and 4 were catchable during the main game. You had to wait until you beat the game in order to see any new Pokemon. And you had to wait to beat the game until you could transfer Pokemon. Transferring Pokemon with Game Freak has always been an afterthought. It has never been their primary focus, and it never should be. I feel like this sort of soft reboot that they're doing with Sword and Shield, Thanosing a bunch of Pokemon, and allowing other Pokemon to sort of breathe with that limitation, I think it's healthy. And it's because we're almost hitting 1,000 Pokemon, and that's ridiculous. This franchise has been going on for a while. Eventually, people would have had to realize this would have happened. And I'm not against it. I'm not against it as long as we get a bunch of new Pokemon instead of just showing off a bunch of old ones. And that's my major concern right now with Sword and Shield, is we've only been shown a few new Pokemon and shown like several older Pokemon. That's a major issue that I have, but if we have a just like over 100 brand new Pokemon, I'm completely fine with it.
Well, let me pose this question to you. What happens if, hypothetically, we find out there are only 60 or 70, like what happened with X and Y?
Then my tone will change. And I think that Game Freak should take a huge step back from making Pokemon games like every single year and allow themselves more dev time to add in new Pokemon. If we only end up with another X and Y scenario, then even the people who are indifferent or fine with the decision to have a lesser amount of Pokemon will be upset. Because I think there's no way that they're going to patch in new Pokemon, especially given what Masuda said, that this would be a fear concerning future games as well, having to limit the amount of Pokemon that are in it. I feel like they would have to come up with like 100 plus Pokemon for the new Pokemon games, if they're choosing to go this route with removing certain Pokemon. Now, let's say the reverse happens of a scenario you had mentioned, where Sword and Shield are limiting the amount that you can get, but the next core games have every Pokemon. Why would you be mad at that? Because Sword and Shield could just be testing the waters. Sure, that's what Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee could have been, but that's a different game mechanic entirely. Sword and Shield could just outright be testing the waters with how far they can push the Switch in terms of data capacity with these Pokemon. And then the next games could come back and have all the Pokemon.
If that were to happen, I would be okay with it. I mean, I'm not opposed to them down the line just allowing other Pokemon. I think the main concern that everyone is having right now is the fact that's not going to be the case. Like, you know, maybe there's only going to be, let's say, I don't know, 300 Pokemon in this game, right? I mean, I'm just pulling a number out of the top of my head here. And then, you know, maybe down the road they decide, oh, okay, well, we're going to create another core game. It's only going to have, like, 150, and, you know, people are just going to be sitting with their old Pokemon that they've transferred from, you know, 16 years ago, you know, in their Pokemon home accounts, and, again, just being completely useless. Because I almost want them to do something like what you mentioned was Black and White. Like, if they came out with another game where it was 150 brand new Pokemon, you didn't encounter any old ones for the entirety of the game, and then finally, you know, post Elite Four, you know, you can transfer your Pokemon over and still use them. I'm fine with that. But it's just not knowing right now if, you know, certain Pokemon are just going to be excluded. I mean, maybe you can only use the Pokemon you like once every 4 or 5 years, depending on if they decide to include it in a particular game. That's why everyone's angry.
Everyone's angry because they can't bring their favorites in.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of, oh, what if we can't bring this in this game, but we can do it in the... It's not a matter of that. It's because they just want to use their favorites, or they want to use a competitive team that they worked hard on. And I mean, I understand working hard on a competitive team and then being upset when you can't bring it into the new games. But at the same time, you wouldn't have been able to bring it into the new games from the get-go anyway. Because it would, the home doesn't come out till 2020.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have been able to throw them in right off the bat, regardless. So I feel like people are casting judgment, because I know people have been just relentlessly attacking Sword and Shield for not having all the Pokemon, when truly and honestly, I don't think it's that big of an issue. I think it's necessary to cut off Pokemon a bit to allow others to breed, so they can sort of get, you know, what the time they deserve. Admittedly, I don't think Pokemon like Charizard, Tyranitar, Pokemon like that really deserve that spot, mainly because those Pokemon are already popular enough. But like you mentioned earlier, you know, those Pokemon are going to be there anyway because they're popular.
Yeah.
I feel like the popularity of Pokemon really have an impact on how others are treated, which kind of blows. Which is partly why I'm okay with this, as long as, you know, it's been like how I've been saying, you know, it's a Thanos thing, where it's like a random set. It's not like all popular Pokemon are gone or all unpopular Pokemon are gone. It's like a mix of different Pokemon, which is what I think they should do a la Black and White style. Throw in these new Pokemon, a couple of old ones, leave it be like that. Let's see how it is, and then we can start working towards adding new Pokemon, or older Pokemon in. Because part of the reason why I love Black and White so much is because of the fact that you have to use these new Pokemon over the old ones. You have to learn what these Pokemon are. And people these days don't want to do that. They just want to roll with, like, their team of Evolutions, or their team of, like, Pikachu and Braviary and Gyarados or something. Those are just 3 Pokemon I pulled off the top of my head. I know nobody in their right mind would actually use a Pikachu.
You're sure about that?
Unless you're me and you, for some reason, have like a level 75 Pikachu. I did that X and Y.
Yeah. I'm still disappointed. I'm not... I'm not super angry, you know. I'm not gonna go off on a tirade or anything, because again, arguably the game's graphics do look great, and You know, everything else looks okay. This would really be the only issue. Now, the online component, let's see how that turns out. Do we know if every Pokemon has a Dynamax form?
From what we can assume from the demos on the E3 floor and how it was being shown off, every Pokemon has a Dynamax evolution.
Okay, so that's good.
You could I know on the E3 floor, people were Dynamaxing the Corgi Pokemon Yamper, which is the new one that was shown off in the demo, and then there was like the Raichu that got the Dynamax. You could Dynamax your starter Pokemon in the gym leader battles. The gym leader could Dynamax like their last Pokemon. So I believe, just judging from how everything has been, every Pokemon could be Dynamaxed.
Okay, so at least they got that part right, so thank goodness for that.
I'm very glad about that, because that means no Pokemon is left out.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I was mentioning last week, where I was figuring out, well, maybe this is going to be another Mega Evolution situation, where only certain ones get a Dynamax form and others get left out.
I would have been livid. I would not been happy.
Yeah, so there are a couple other things I want to talk about, just from the footage I saw as well. First off, the Switch Pro controller is supported in this game. I feel absolutely ridiculous having to point that out, but considering how some first-party games, cough Super Mario Party...
Oh, let's go, Eevee.
Yeah, didn't support it. It's good to know that this one does. Incidentally, on the eShop page for Sword and Shield, which is already up, I don't know why, 5 months before release, you can't pre-order it, but it's up anyway. It does say Save Data Cloud Backup is TBD. I don't know why, because it's pretty much guaranteed it's not going to be compatible.
Well, okay. It might be, might not be. It might have some issues with Pokemon Home. So I understand why that might be on a to be determined basis.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see on that. Again, just some of the things though that they mentioned in that E3 Treehouse segment, very, very odd. Like when Masuda was basically emphasizing, yes, it's traditional turn-based, yes, items are back, yes, abilities are back. It's almost... I want to say it was almost like damage control after what happened last year was Let's Go. Am I right?
I don't think it's more damage control. I think it's these people are gonna about it if I don't outright tell them because they can't think for themselves. Which, you know, given where I work at, I completely understand where he's coming from.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, they technically averted that crisis situation and angered everyone else with the whole Pokemon Home transfers and all that. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, I guess. And
I will say, you know, it does blow that you can't transfer all the Pokemon that you want. I know there's going to be certain Pokemon I want to transfer that I can't bring over. And that's going to suck for me, but I don't think it's a big deal. I think this will be a good opportunity for the Pokemon fans to try new Pokemon and stop sort of like idolizing the ones that you already love and give some others some love. I think it'll be a good opportunity for that.
Okay, so I know we didn't really get your thoughts last week on this, Roxie, so I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot here.
Oh, no!
What did you think of, I mean, other than the graphics, right, just everything else that you've seen so far, because I know I was talking about this. The UI during the battles, it seems a little bit plain, but I'm okay with it. I like the font. I think it looks a lot better than what we got on the 3DS. But so far, like, everything I'm seeing graphics-wise, it looks good.
Graphics-wise, I love it. The UI, despite being simple, I like it. I like it a lot. Because, like, you don't have you don't have the double screen anymore, so you can't look down at the bottom and have all the action on the top. It's all on one screen. But I like it that way. Admittedly, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee had a little bit more color to it, but I think it might fit well with the tone of the game, whatever tone that may be. And there's multiplayer beyond just battling. Scott, you got no idea how happy that makes me.
And it's online co-op!
Online and local co-op.
I have zero people here locally to play with, but now I can go online and play with people. It's a miracle.
When I get the game, because I'm getting, obviously I'm getting the game when it comes out, I'm going to be streaming it on my Twitch channel with a couple of friends who are also picking up their copy that same day. And any max raid battle we see, we're doing together then and there. Like, I'm unbelievably happy about max raid battles being online and local co-op. It's going to be so great. And to hark back to, you know, the transfer Pokemon, I know this would never happen, but I think his name is like Joe Merrick or whoever, the guy who runs the Cerebi website. He made up a very good point he made up a good solution for Game Freak. Have a new set of max raids every like couple months to introduce older Pokemon into the game as time progresses. I think that would be the ultimate best way to introduce older Pokemon into the game. I know that's not going to happen, but I feel like that would be the best way. But beyond that, you know, max raid battles, they look fun. Dynamax battles look fun. The gym leaders that we've been shown look really cool. I feel so bad for Hop because his brother has a cool name like Leon, and then he gets stuck with Hop. I feel so sorry for that poor boy. Sonia looks pretty cool. I like Sonia. We have the Queen of England as a Pokemon professor. Overall, I'm excited. I am very unashamedly excited for Sword and Shield.
Some of the predictions I did get right. I predicted there would not be Z crystals, so I was right on that. I was wrong on the Megas. I thought they would still have them.
So the Megas.
What else? I like what I'm seeing. I mean, I think the music sounds good. I mean, again, everything seems smooth in terms of the actual game. The legendaries, Zacian and Zamazenta, they look neat. I mean,
I love Zacian. I love Zacian. Which version do you plan on getting, Scott?
I want to know more about the version exclusives. I'm leaning towards Sword, but I'm waiting to find out, like, what are the other Pokemon.
Admittedly, when they announced that a double pack was going to happen, this is the first time since X and Y I've done this, where I'm going to be getting both games at launch. And I had Pokemon Sword pre-ordered for a while, and then I immediately, like, as soon as that double pack was announced, I had to go to work. So I went into work and changed my Sword pre-order to the double pack. And I think I'm gonna keep it that way.
That's how you know they've done something right. They've convinced you to go back to getting both games for the first time in 6 years?
Yeah, I think so. Because usually I'll get, like, the version that I really want at launch, then I get the other version for Christmas. This time I'm getting them both at launch. So yeah, it looks good. I mean, like I said, it's still. I just want to emphasize, I'm not super angry about the transfer situation like some people online. I know people are going crazy. I am
more than slightly frustrated, but not leading into, like, ranting territory. But I think they sorta shot themselves in the foot with that. I think they should have come up with a better solution. Whether it's like you said, Roxie, I mean, just introducing it over time, or just doing something like Gen 5, where, like, maybe with patches or updates later on down the road. Because, you know, to me, it's almost reminiscent of, like, the Super Mario Maker 2 situation there. I mean, game looks perfect, but there's just one major hindrance, and everyone gets riled up about it.
Alright, so I think we've talked long enough about Pokemon Sword and Shield. So I think it's time to move on to our next topic, which is Astral Chain footage. Astral Chain's available August 30th, essentially September. And, God, Astral Chain, if you guys have never played a Platinum Games game before, you're missing out. Those games are super stylish. Like, Bayonetta is really stylish. A Hideki Kamiya game, something like a Devil May Cry, super, just unbelievably stylish. And Astral Chain's looking to head that same direction.
It looks good. I mean, again, not my type of game myself, but I'm glad we at least got more footage of it, because it was sort of like the Demon X Machina situation, where it's just we went for such a long period of time without getting anything, and we were wondering what was going on here.
If you really want a Diamond X Machina situation, let me put out Astral Chain and Diamond X Machina have both had more gameplay footage and, like, trailers overall than both Bayonetta 3 and Shin Megami Tensei 5.
Jeez.
And Shin Megami Tensei 5 was announced at the Switch's launch. Just let that settle in for a bit.
Yeah.
Moving on, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 available June 19th, with the expansion pass available sometime in the fall. Admittedly, I've never played any of the Ultimate Alliance games before. 3 looks really, really good gameplay-wise. I like it. I like how you have the Miles Morales Spider-Man as well as Spider-Gwen. Gameplay looks fun. All the characters look fun. And also, you can get Deadpool.
Yeah, well, we know who you're going with.
Miles Morales Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, Iron Man, Ghost Rider, and Deadpool. Gonna play
Again,
all of them.
it's one of the bigger games. I think it's coming out in July, though, right?
Yes, July 19th.
Yeah. Again, just not my cup of tea personally, but I know a lot of people very, very excited about this, especially since they're into the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe and all that. So, yeah, they've got something to look forward to in about a month here.
Especially if you felt bad that the Square Enix Marvel game, or Avengers game, wasn't coming to Switch.
Yeah.
You have something Marvel related to look forward to, at least. That's how I'm looking at it.
True. Now, here we go into Zelda territory, because we finally got that release date for Cadence of Hyrule. I mean, up until now, we thought it was coming out at some point this month, but yeah, apparently it came out yesterday.
It looks so good, cute, and fun, and I want to play it, even though I've never played Crypto the Necrodancer. It looks fun. The way you move, the beats, the bops, it looks fun. And you get to play as Zelda or Link or Cadence. I guess that's her name, is Cadence. I don't know.
Don't know much about it myself. Again, you know, I'll leave this one up to you, Roxie. You want to review it later and give us your thoughts on it. I think a lot of people would be interested in seeing how it compares to, you know, something like a traditional 2D Zelda, I guess.
It depends on when I can have the money for it. I have a lot to save up for.
Okay. Alright, so next up we've got Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. I thought this game was coming out next year. Apparently it's coming out this November. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it.
I like it. I really like the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. They're really fun time wasters. They're just unbelievably a lot of fun, especially if you got like a friend with you, or like, let's say you're a family member and you got somebody to play with. It's just super fun. It's so much fun.
I'll take your word for it, because I'm passing on this one here.
Let's say you don't want to play like Mario Kart, or you don't want to play like a sports game or something, like an actual like full-on like tennis game or something. And let's say you don't want to play like Smash Bros. You got Mario and Sonic that you can play. You got a bunch of different mini games. It's fun.
But here's the big question: Smash or Olympic Games?
Smash, easy.
There we go.
Smash is undoubtedly the best multiplayer game on Nintendo Switch. Don't at me.
Alright. So, what do we have next on the list?
Animal Crossing New Horizons. Hey, Animal Crossing fans, you guys breathing? Guess what? You got a game.
I got this right,
Stop whining about it.
I got this right. I predicted last week that it would be delayed. And everyone else seemed to think, oh, you know what? It's still coming out this year. I just have to throw that out there. I mean, at least it's coming.
Was it ever said it was coming out this year?
Yeah, 2019.
What? I don't...
Back in the September Direct of last year, it was Animal Crossing, they showed the logo, 2019, Luigi's Mansion 3, 2019.
I don't remember them saying 2019, but whatever. Hey, Animal Crossing fans, you can finally shut up about every single Direct that ever happens for your Animal Crossing game.
Yeah. Well,
I know that sounds harsh and rude, but damn it, if it's a Super Mario Maker Direct, it's a Super Mario Maker Direct. If it's Pokemon Direct, it's a Pokemon Direct, not Animal Crossing. You feel me?
Here's the thing, though, right? I can't really blame the Animal Crossing community, because, I mean, when did New Leaf come out? Wasn't that, like, 6 or 7 years ago?
Hell if I know. But you've had other games come out since then. You had like Happy Home Designers. You had the ones on the Wii U that we don't talk about. Pocket Camp had a lot of Animal Crossing fans like sated for a while.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to talk about Amiibo Festival on the Wii U.
Nobody wants to talk about Amiibo Festival. You had Happy Home Designer. You had something. But then you look at Metroid Prime 4, which has only had a teaser, and then we were told that, you know, the game had to be scrapped and restarted. So I feel like Animal Crossing fans could finally shut up a bit and stop demanding Animal Crossing at every new Nintendo Direct.
I think it was important for them to actually get a release date out on this, because at the very least, right, the footage, I don't play Animal Crossing, okay, I will admit that. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of it myself, but the graphics look good, at least in the footage that we saw, and again, I think it was just very important they got that date out, because it was sort of turning into that situation where, again, right, I mean,
it was announced to sate them.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm going to be calling out Animal Crossing fans about doing that, I'm going to call out another group for doing that. Hey, Smash fans, you Smash players, you feel me? If it's a specific Direct that ain't Smash, you ain't seeing Smash. You got it? cool. Pokemon fans, that goes for you too. You guys don't do it as much, but it's true.
I think maybe it's not as much for Pokemon because Game Freak keeps releasing a new game every year.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like a spin-off. Like, I have zero interest in the Detective Pikachu game. I'm not getting that on the Switch, but I mean, the fact that they always come out with something every year where, you know, some of these franchises, you know, well, I mean, look how long it took for Breath of the Wild, right? But then again, I mean, we did have spin-offs on 3DS and all that, so...
Don't make me think of Breath of the Wild, please.
Well, we'll get into that. So, well, what's next that you want to go over?
Spyro Reignited Trilogy. So when Spyro was, like, announced as, like, getting its remasters, the Switch appeared on the website for a short while, and then it was taken down. And a lot of people were like, a lot of Switch fans were like, what the heck? Why? I want it on Switch. And it was like only on Xbox One and PC and PS4. Well, at the time, Xbox One and PS4. But now we know that it'll be on PC and Nintendo Switch available. Hey, look at that! September 3rd. If you like Spyro games and you want to play Spyro on the go, pick it up on Switch. Or if you want to get your kids into it.
Alright then. Okay, so next up, Doom Eternal, which got a coming soon trailer.
I'm gonna talk about Doom Eternal and the next game together because they're made by the same people and they were shown off at the same conference. So Doom Eternal and Wolfenstein Youngblood are both coming to Nintendo Switch, and that's kind of wild. Wolfenstein, July 26th, Doom Eternal, coming soon, unannounced release date. Both games, from what I saw at the Bethesda conference, look really, really good. They might not on the Switch, they might look bad. I can only hope that it'll play solid, or at least do what they did with Doom 2016. Keep the graphics down a little bit, cap the frames at 30, you'll be fine, I think, if you're playing it on Switch. But I think both of those are gonna do really well, and they look really good. And Doom Eternal also has multiplayer, which is fun.
Yeah, again, not games that I'm into, but I know a lot of people are really excited about both of those. I kind of wish Bethesda would have actually announced a release date for Doom Eternal.
I do too. I really do too. But, what can you do?
Yeah. Okay, so next up we've got Dauntless, and a bit of an interesting situation here.
So Dauntless is set for like late 2019 on Switch, which is really interesting. But the more interesting thing that they didn't say, but you had to look up the Dauntless Twitter and like find a specific tweet about it, is that there's going to be complete crossplay and cross progression with all platforms. So Xbox One, PS4, and PC with the Switch. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna be real, I only have like one online membership and my PC can't run Dauntless very well, and the one online membership I have is on Nintendo Switch. So being able to play with my friends while they play on, like, one plays on a PS4, the other's on Xbox One, and I'm on Switch, and another's on PC, that's awesome, and I love that. So yeah.
You would think that more of the third-party games would have crossplay, but...
You would, but I know there's got to be a lot of issues that come with that. So...
Yeah. Well, again, just not a game that I'm into, but hey, I mean, if you already play it on the Xbox One or the PS4, you've got friends that like to play it as well, then at least you can still team up with them.
If you want to play free Monster Hunter, That's essentially what Dauntless is free Monster Hunter.
Mm.
Okay, next topic is Super Mario Maker 2 was shown off very briefly. Wasn't shown off in the direct a whole lot. June 28th. So it comes out this month. And I don't know. I was gonna get Super Mario Maker 2 at launch. I don't know if I am now.
Okay, so I am giving Super Mario Maker 2 a hard pass.
Is it because of the online?
That is a major part of it. At first, I was thinking to myself, because you were showing me the previous direct and trailer, and I was sort of leaning towards actually getting it, but especially with what they've done with the online. I mean, maybe later on if they decide to patch or fix that, sure, but again, this is another situation where, the game looks great. Now people can stop complaining about why they haven't ported over the original Mario Maker. So now they do have a Mario Maker on the Switch. But yeah, it's just, I'm gonna pass on that for now.
Like I said, I was thinking about getting it launched. What I think I'll do now is wait for it to come out and sort of play it by ear, pass judgment after it's released, see how people thought about it, and then if it ends up being better than what I thought it was going to be, then I'll pick it up.
Well, one thing's for sure. I mean, now that you've got Super Mario Maker on the Switch, there's really no reason you would need to get that port of New Super Mario Bros. U, because, I mean, Super Mario Maker essentially, beats it, right? You can create your own levels, download a myriad combination of other levels online.
Yeah, but you can't play as Toadette. Or more rather, you can't play as Peachette.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess.
You don't get the experience of playing those, like, quote-unquote original levels.
Hmm.
So, also, I guess you're more or less losing out on, like, the harder levels of New Super Luigi U instead. But, I don't know. You could get both. I mean, if you like platformers and you like Mario, you could get both.
Yeah, that's true. Or just wait for New Super Mario Bros. U to drop in price first.
Yeah, definitely do that.
Okay, so next on the list, we've got more Smash DLC.
This was the second Smash DLC shown at the end, which I kind of liked. If you watched the K. Rool Smash Ultimate announcement, you'll immediately notice that this was very familiar. And when I say very familiar, I mean it was the same damn thing. They had Diddy Kong, DK, and Ridley snoozing in DK's house. They felt some rumbling rolling around, and they all woke up, shot to their window, stuck their heads out, and what do they see? A silhouette of a bear and a bird. A beloved combination to Nintendo fans of old. And then it turned out to be Duck Hunt. They did the entire King K. Rool announcement a second time, but after Duck Hunt was like smashed by a rock, we had the real bear and bird, Banjo-Kazooie, which was really freaking awesome. And I say it's really freaking awesome because of how they went and did it. Yes, it was the same thing as the K. Rool announcement, but it was more symbolic. And the reason why it was more symbolic is because you had 4 rareware characters on screen for a Smash Bros. Game. You had Diddy, DK, K. Rool, and Banjo-Kazooie. And DK, Ridley, and Diddy looked so happy when they saw Banjo. Because, like, Banjo is sort of like he's like their cousin. In terms of like, you know, who made him. Because Rareware made Donkey Kong. And Rareware made Banjo. So it was a really happy reunion that made me really, really giddy. Even though I've only ever played like a little bit of Banjo-Kazooie 1, and that's because I got an Xbox One recently and I could get it on Game Pass. But I've never played Banjo-Kazooie. But I was still excited regardless, because I thought the announcement itself was so cool, and that Banjo-Kazooie, a character that people have been wanting, was finally here.
Yeah, I actually forgot to mention this during last Friday's episode about the Smash DLC. Some people actually got this right. Like, I knew we were going to get at least one character announced. Some people were saying that they would announce two just because, you know, they needed to move along with, you know, the new DLC packs and everything. But everyone was going crazy saying, oh, well, Banjo-Kazooie has been leaked as an upcoming character, and, you know, not really a whole lot of people believing that, and then they come right out and announce it during the trailer. I was
really excited. I figured they were going to announce two characters because it made the most sense, given that February of 2020 is when it's like slated to no longer have any more DLC characters coming out, according to, you know, the first time they talked about DLC. So what I'm suspecting is that they announced the two today. So the Dragon Quest Hero comes summer 2019, and then Banjo-Kazooie comes fall 2019. I'm expecting around August or September for them to announce the fourth Smash character for DLC, and then at the Game Awards in December, they're gonna announce the last Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC character to come out in February of 2020.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because, I mean, we know there's going to be a direct, usually like late September or something, so I do think it does make a lot more sense now that they had to do two. But hopefully this will keep Smash fans happy for a while. I would like to say, a while back I mentioned how I was against buying the Fighter's Pass, and I stand by my choice now. I have zero interest in Dragon Quest as a game franchise, and I have zero interest in the Dragon Quest Hero as a character. So, to confirm what I figured would happen, there would have been a character that I didn't care about that was being added as DLC. So, yeah. I just want to say, I was right. Well, it makes sense, right? I mean, if you don't know for a fact what the characters are going to be, you're not going to want to spend that money up front, because, you know, if you don't like a particular character, you know, you're essentially wasting money.
Bingo.
Now, that being the case, again, I am surprised that they didn't at least nail down specifics with the release dates, because at least was that Dragon Quest Hero, I don't know his name or whatever he's called,
it's literally Hero.
Oh, okay.
They referred to him as the Hero. They didn't give him a name or anything.
Nice. Okay, well, even with that generic title, I would have expected them to say, you know, he's available July, or at least something, right? Because they said summer, but, you know, we're in the summer.
Yeah. I'm expecting, like, within the next few days, they might announce, like, the actual date, because, I mean, it won't be till, like, August or September before we get in. Like, I think summer ends, like, middle of August, middle of September, maybe. I don't know. Seasons.
Yeah, it goes up until the middle of September. Technically, I guess, if they wanted to, they could release it at the beginning of September, but, you know, I think that would have been it would have been nicer had they actually released it either this month or maybe like early July if they just come out and said, oh yeah, available beginning of July or something.
I think it'll be like mid to late July, early August. I don't think they'll make us wait till, September to get him. But then again, I was wrong about predicting Joker's release date for Smash Bros, which ticked me off.
Yeah.
I was not happy about that.
Oh well. Okay, so moving along, we've got one last major point to go over here, and then we're going to give our overall thoughts on this particular Direct. This was probably, I want to say, the highlight of this Direct presentation, because, again, not a lot of games that I personally like in this Direct, but I know you have a lot to say about this.
So, I don't have any video footage of this because I didn't feel like recording my reaction to the E3. But I was in call with my girlfriend, and we were watching the Direct together, and when the man said he had one more announcement, which, it's a natural Nintendo thing to say, I was very confused. I was like, what else could they be announcing? Then when it showed off what it did, I was like, is this Metroid Prime 4? Because unfortunately Metroid Prime 4 was not shown off. I was like, is this Prime 4? Like, what is this? And then as the little teaser progressed, they showed off more, and then they showed Zelda, a short-haired version of Breath of the Wild Zelda, and I was like, what is this? This can't be what I've been asking. Because what I've been wanting was like post-game content for Breath of the Wild in the form of like some DLC or like maybe a Breath of the Wild sequel that's actually story focused. That's what I've been wanting. And as it kept going, I kept getting happier and happier. My grin kept getting bigger and bigger. And then when I saw Zelda and Link standing next to each other and they looked at that corpse and the corpse just looked at them, and then all of a sudden it had red eyes, and then it said that a Breath of the Wild sequel was in development, I was elated. I almost fell out of my chair, my headset fell off my head, and I'll admit I'm very emotional as a person, and given that this is something I had been wanting, I almost started to cry from like happiness. I almost had a couple of happy tears.
Well, that's when you know Nintendo and Aonuma did something right. When you're making people cry out of happiness, you've done your job.
I was so excited. I couldn't shut up about it for like a solid 10 to 15 minutes.
Well, here's the thing, right? We knew they were working on another Zelda game, because they announced this, I think this was like 6 or 7 months ago. They talked about how they had just started developing one, but we didn't know if it was actually a sequel, or, if
or
it was...
Or a new game entirely that was unrelated.
Yeah. And to see that in this presentation, it was amazing. I mean, again, I have over 300 hours in my Zelda gameplay time. I know you've got hundreds of hours as well, and I will definitely be picking this up. But I wonder if this is one of those cases where they announced it way too early.
God, I hope not. But there is a thing that I would like to find and read for a quick moment. This was from Eiji Aonuma. He said the new Breath of the Wild, or sequel to it, it's not necessarily going to be related to Majora's Mask or inspired by it. What we showed you currently is a little darker. And any Zelda fan who has enjoyed Majora's Mask, loves Majora's Mask, no, that game's already dark. That game has some very, very dark themes to it. And I thought it was interesting that, God, my train of thought just got lost. That, they mentioned Majora's Mask. So I think this is gonna be something I can look forward to. I hope it will be. I hope that it will be story focused over like 90% exploration, 10% exposition. I really want another story-based Zelda game. And the way that it looks like it's gonna show me. Was something I saw, somebody pinged me about this in a Discord server I'm in. They had mentioned, or they had pointed out rather, let me scroll to find it, that this person is believing that Ganondorf, not Ganon, but Ganondorf, was the knight chosen by a previous Zelda to help seal Ganon 10,000 years ago. Which, if you guys remember playing Breath of the Wild, you might remember a little mosaic painting that had this Calamity Ganon demise looking thing in the center. Zelda was on the left, but a blue being with red hair was on the right. And everybody knows Link has blonde hair. Link does not have red hair. But Ganondorf does. So what this person is believing is that Ganondorf became the vessel to contain Calamity Ganon, and then they buried him under Hyrule Castle. And that body that we saw in the trailer was the Ganon from 10,000 years ago.
Interesting.
None of this is confirmed, obviously, but you know, it's completely conjecture, but it's fun conjecture. It's got me excited.
Yeah, I think it was a good way to end the Direct, just showcasing, like, another big core Zelda title. I don't know if they just did it too early, because, like, I'm guessing 2021 at the earliest, and I know you were saying later than that.
I don't believe this game will be out by 2020. Even if it's just like a teaser, I don't think it'll be 2020. I think because of the nature of Zelda games and how long they usually take, I fully believe that we might not even be seeing this till like late 2021, if that. It might be 2022.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, considering how long it took them to get the original Breath of the Wild out, like, I know they're probably using a lot of the same assets, but I don't see it coming out earlier than 2021, at the very least, and you are right, like, this is heading into Metroid Prime 4 territory, where it's coming out closer to the end of the Switch's lifespan.
I don't know, I wouldn't say we're at the end of the Switch's lifespan soon. I don't think like the early 2020s are gonna be the end of the Switch's lifespan. Because, like, I'm gonna be real, the Switch, it hasn't got a lot going for it. And I feel like that's because a lot of the hard-hitting games just haven't come out yet. In terms of hard-hitting games, we've had Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. I think 2020 to 2021 is gonna be the peak year for Nintendo Switch.
That would make sense, because at that point, the Switch will have been out for at least 3.5 years, and that's typically a game dev cycle. But, like, I was thinking more along the lines of, well, a normal console lifespan's about 7 years, right? So, if you look at the Switch, you know, before they come out was, we'll call it the Switch 2, you know, the Switch should last until at least about 2024, I would think. So...
Yeah, same. And I mean, if we get a Zelda game in like 2021, 2022, that's fine with me. As long as we get it before the end of its lifespan. And as long as it's good with the actual story.
That is true. Okay, so let's wrap everything up here. Did you want to go first with your overall thoughts, or did you want me?
I watched as much of E3 as I could, and I'm gonna be honest, a lot of the conferences really lackluster this year. I didn't get to watch Microsoft's because I was at work, but I did get to watch Bethesda, I watched Square, I watched whenever I could, and there was basically no competition. Nintendo already had the throne to win E3 like lined up and just took it. There was nobody coming close. Nintendo was an easy peasy win on E3, and the games they announced, I'm excited for a fair bit of them. Overall, I'd give this Nintendo E3, or rather the E3 Direct, a 7.8 out of 10.
Okay.
Actually, it's more like an 8.59 out of 10.
Make up your mind, Roxie.
I was memeing on the 7.8.
Ugh.
I was doing the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire meme.
Too much water.
Yep.
I'm gonna be a little bit more on, I don't want to say the negative side, but here's the thing, like, I saw all of the 3 conferences this year. I do agree with you. I think Nintendo's was the best one, but in terms of the games that I want to play, out of everything that they announced during this Direct, I wasn't that blown away with it. Like, I definitely loved Luigi's Mansion 3, so that's good. Seeing more footage from Fire Emblem, the Zelda trailer, even though that's off in the distant future, so I did like those, but like everything, all the games that I already knew I was gonna get this year, I already knew I was gonna get going into this E3 Direct. Like, there was nothing in this Direct that told me, hey, you know, here's a new game that you have to get.
And that's just because of the games you like.
Yeah, I mean, I know turn-based RPG is sort of a niche franchise, with, I guess, the exception of Pokémon. But yeah, that's just how it felt to me. Like, I knew we weren't gonna get Mario and Luigi because they just came out with that remake earlier this year. I knew we weren't gonna get a Paper Mario. And just everything else. Like, I already knew I was getting Luigi's Mansion 3. I already knew I was getting Fire Emblem and Pokemon, and like some of these others, you know, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Okay, great that we saw footage, but I'm not into it, so I'm still passing on that. You know, Collection of Mana, or Trials of Mana, however you pronounce it, right? It's, yeah, again, great to have it on the Switch, but it's just not something I'm particularly a fan of. So I came off from this E3, I want to say like a 7 out of 10, because for me, it was okay. I mean, I think next year will be better. That's just my opinion, but there's not really much else I can say.
You're just upset they didn't announce a Paper Mario RPG.
Well, I knew they weren't going to announce it. I mean, look, I predicted that last week. I said they weren't going to announce it because, look, we know Intelligent Systems, regardless of what type of Paper Mario game they're creating, we know that Intelligent Systems can make a Paper Mario game in 3 years, because that's the time frame between the original 3, but with the more recent Paper Mario titles, it's been 4 years minimum. So, like, I wouldn't expect an announcement until at least next year at the earliest for that. Mario plus Rabbids, a sequel to that, I was thinking more like 2021. So, look, I mean, you might be onto something. Like 2020, late 2020, 2021, I think there will be a lot more games that'll appeal to me, personally. But yeah, it's just... nothing really blew me away out of this trailer.
Besides Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, aside from Breath of the Wild. Because, I mean, again, like I said, I think it was a great way to end off the presentation. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna get any more footage of that anytime soon, so don't be surprised if we run into this, situation again where people are saying, oh, well, they have to show more footage in the September Direct or in the January Direct. I don't think you're gonna see that. I mean, prepare for a very long wait, people.
Yep.
So, with that being the case, I think we covered everything here. Anything else you want to talk about?
Nope.
Okay, sounds good. On that note, we will wrap it up. So, as usual, if you guys enjoyed our discussion tonight, make sure you hit that like button. As always, make sure you subscribe to TOONDISE, hit that notifications bell so you know when we upload new episodes of your favorite series. And don't forget, we are on Twitter at TOONDISE, we're on Discord, and you can also visit us on our website, toondise.com. Roxie, you want to give your channel a shout out?
Yeah. You can watch my YouTube videos over at Jester's Room. I post anywhere from like Let's Plays to dumb meme videos to stream highlights. And I'll sometimes do reviews or like scripted videos. And you can catch my streams over at twitch.tv/thejestersroom. You can find me on both Facebook and Twitter. Facebook is, again, The Jester's Room. Twitter is at Zero Paradox. You can direct all hate for my opinion on Pokemon there. Believe me, I'm sure I'm gonna get some. But yeah.
Awesome. Okay, and that just about covers it. So I will see you guys next Friday night, 9/8 Central, another episode of GameView. And until next time, I'm Scott.
And I'm Roxie.
We'll see you later.